Hello, folks. So I wanted to talk to you about website planning. All right. So uh, what we talk about as far as website planning, we want to go ahead and make sure that when you design and even develop a website, it is critical that you have a plan for it. It is not something that you just slide into and just work on the fly. There's a lot of planning that gets involved in it. There's a lot of code elements that get involved. So planning ahead is critical when it comes to website design. So I'm going to go through some of the elements that kind of help you out with planning. But with a website, it is user focused. All right, a design that puts the user ahead of a stylistic design treatments or gratuitous use of technology must start with a plan. So it is very, very user oriented. How many times you've gone to a website or even an app that you've downloaded thinking it was going to change your life, and then you download it and you can't figure it out? Right? It becomes a bad interactive element because these are interactive elements. Having design that is going to not work for the public is going to be a failed design. So you have to critically think about that when you do them. So project planning, the phase of design that include research and discovery, content inventory, site mapping, wireframing, usability mapping, and prototyping and design concepting. All right, these are the things that kind of get included within a certain website design project. So I'm going to talk about some of them. More or less, research. This actually goes a lot with graphic design as well, because researching is critical. If you don't know what your client does, you can't design anything that is going to work for them. So develop a plan based on research into the client's goals and analyze that of their landscape in which a site will exist. All right, who's their audience and stuff. All right, requirements docs, a project timeline, and create a brief. So when is this site supposed to be live? Are they doing it for a particular show that's coming up? We don't know. So the client has to give you this type of stuff so you can actually work backwards and develop a timeline of when things are going to be used and what's going to be included. Asset inventory, which is organization of images, content, and code libraries. All right, knowing what images you're going to put in, what content is, if there's any kind of special features that the site has to have. All right, these should all be organized in a nice organized fashion. File organization and naming. Proper naming and organization is a must. And we refer to file organization and naming as something that is very critical. File names should not have spaces in between them, in between words that are in the file name. They should either be using underscores or dashes, which they always say dashes are better than underscores. But never spaces. Spaces are not really that great to kind of like help with organization as far as HTML code goes. So, and plus, file names actually serve a very good purpose of SEO, search engine optimization. Sometimes a search will find a particular file name that has a certain search term in it, so naming that appropriately is critical. Taxonomy and grouping. Mapping on a site. Limit the number of choices a user sees to 7 items. All right. You don't want to overwhelm the user. All right. Group things into different areas that are alike. Make it easy for somebody to recognize a certain content area so they can actually get to it. Information architecture. Definition of the site using sitemaps, taxonomies, labeling systems, and wireframes. All right. The wireframe or the information architecture is critical when you're dealing with websites. So knowing where it's going to go, what pages are going to be, what the labeling is, all that kind of stuff kind of help out in the design aspect. And one of these aspects is sitemaps, a schematic of a site showing pages and their linked relationships among them. So here are a few examples of sitemaps, and you can kind of see that each of these sitemaps lead from the home page to different pages, and then they may have subgroups underneath those pages. So you kind of see that what it's done is a nice organized fashion, so you can kind of get a good idea as to what pages have what and where they go. Wireframes are blueprints for the map that went with individual pages. So wireframes are much less kind of like these, kind of like website thumbnails, which are kind of like laying out a page in a layout fashion without having any kind of content in there. But getting an idea of how it's going to lay out is sometimes critical when it deals with laying out elements throughout the whole site. Another type of wireframe. There are usability diagrams, which are user flow diagrams combine sitemaps and a wireframe to plan out a specific action a user might take. All right, usability. Again, usability is interactive elements. So it's like here, what do certain things do? So if like here, it's like you go to a certain page where you have to log in. Are you going to register or if you're going to log in? All right, so you log in and go somewhere, but if you register goes to something else that may produce an error, which then goes to an activation email, and then registration complete, you're logged in. You know, whatever all that is, that is a usability diagram. another element here, another usability diagram. There are prototypes, which are working models of site features or functionality that help a developer and designer work out final details. Prototypes, again, are what you probably use within Adobe XD to kind of like develop the layout, develop all the interactive elements to just get a good idea about how it's gonna interact per user. And then you can develop mood boards, which provide the overall feel of the site design, type, imagery, colors, etc. All right, so you can kind of like get a good idea, a good grasp on how the site is going to link somehow. All right, you don't want to use various fonts throughout the whole site. You want to use light colors all the way throughout the site, so it looks like it's all one particular site. So you can develop mood boards. All right, so that wraps up all this particular lecture. Hopefully that helped you out and kind of like organizing your sites. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.